I was standing in the infield lacing up my spikes. I was trying to stay loose. I was nervous. I wasn't sure that I had what it took or if I had prepared adequately enough. I was at my senior year high school state qualifiers meet for track and field. I was entered into the mile, the most beautiful of all races. And I knew that I needed to come in fourth place to advance to states. And for some reason, all that I could think of at that moment was why today wasn't a good day to race. My hamstrings were tight. I didn't get enough sleep. I had a test tomorrow. This track wasn't even a good track to be racing on. As I walked to the starting line, trying to block out all the noise, all the ruckus, all the fear and tension that came with the moment, I heard a voice faint in the stands. "Go, Noel, go." It was a distinct voice. It was my father's voice. I took a quick glance upward and I found him in the sea of people. And he waves at me, smiling, gives me a thumbs up. And then, runners on your mark. Pow! We were off. Despite the noise in the stadium and the distractions in my head, I could hear his voice. In that moment, one thing I knew that my father was present. I had heard him, I had seen him, and that I was sure of. I ran my personal best that day, and the only guy to beat me was a guy who went on to win nationals 3 years later. But what I cherished the most about that day was my father's presence. It had such a profound impact on me that afternoon. When he was present, I was immovable in my convictions. I was sure-footed. I was fearless. Hearing his voice gave me strength. Seeing him filled me with joy. His presence didn't just stir up fleeting emotions, but it had a profound effect on my life. We read in our meditations this week, this third week of Lent, of how God, who had banished man from the garden for his disobedience, was beginning to reestablish an avenue for relationship. He was put into place, a place of his dwelling, a place where he could be present to us. God established the tabernacle, and it says that the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And I find most striking of all was his invitation to Moses in Exodus 24 when he says, "Come up to me, come up to the Lord." And we read, "Come up to the Lord, you and Aaron and Nadab and Abihu and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship from afar." And later on it says, "Then Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel went up, and they saw the God of Israel. And he did not lay his hand on the chief men of Israel. They beheld God, and they ate and drank in his presence." God wasn't far nor distant. He was drawing near to mankind, and he was allowing mankind to come back near to him, to see him, to hear him, to eat and drink with him. What sure sign of his love, that he would show himself to them and that he would allow them to see him. In our readings this week, I invite you to reflect on God's presence in your own life. I invite you to respond to his call to come up to him, to hear him and to see him, and to be in his presence.